Maya had never imagined that her life would change because of a piece of land surrounded by water. She stood in a small office filled with old files and quiet air. A man across the desk explained the papers in slow, clear words. An island now belonged to her and her son Leo. It was part of the final wish of her father Arun. Maya listened, but her mind stayed fixed on one question. Why had her father never spoken about this island? Arun had lived a calm and simple life. He worked as a teacher and spent his evenings reading or walking in the park. He never showed signs of owning something so rare. Maya felt confusion mix with sadness. Leo sat beside her holding a folder with maps inside. He was young but curious. His eyes shone with excitement. He imagined tall trees, quiet beaches, and hidden places. For him the island felt like a gift from a storybook. Maya, on the other hand, felt a weight she could not explain. When they returned home, Maya opened the letter Arun had left behind. She had read it before, but now the words felt stronger. Arun wrote that the island carried a truth he could not explain while alive. He trusted Maya to understand and Leo to protect what mattered. He ended the letter with a simple line. "The land will speak if you listen." Maya placed the letter on the table and sat in silence. She remembered her childhood. Arun was loving but distant at times. There were moments when he stared into space as if remembering something painful. She never asked him about it. Now she wondered if the island held those memories. A week later, Maya and Leo traveled by boat toward the island. The sea was calm and the sky clear. As the island appeared in the distance, Leo stood up with excitement. The land looked untouched. Thick trees covered most of it and dark rocks lined the shore. No buildings were visible from afar. As the boat came closer, Maya felt a strange feeling in her chest. It was not fear but a deep sense of importance. She felt that stepping onto the island meant stepping into her father's past. Leo noticed her silence and held her hand. When they reached the shore, the boatman left them with supplies and promised to return in 3 days. The moment the boat disappeared, Maya felt how quiet the island truly was. No engines, no voices, only the sound of wind and water. Leo stepped onto the sand first. He smiled and took a deep breath. The air smelled clean and fresh. Maya followed slowly. She looked around and noticed footprints that did not belong to animals. Someone had walked here before. Recently. They walked inland carefully. Tall trees blocked much of the sunlight. After a while they noticed a narrow stone path covered with leaves. It looked old but still strong. Maya felt sure this path was not natural. Someone had built it long ago. Leo wanted to follow it right away, but Maya stopped him. She reminded him to stay alert. They walked together slowly. The path led them through thick forest until they reached a small clearing. In the center stood a wooden house. The house was not large. It looked simple and well built. The wood was aged but not broken. Vines grew along the sides, but the roof was clean. It looked like someone had taken care of it. Maya felt her heart beat faster. She stepped closer and touched the wall. The wood felt warm. On the door was a symbol carved deep. It looked like a circle crossed by a line. Maya did not know its meaning, but it felt familiar. Inside the house, everything was neat. A table stood in the center. A chair rested near the window. Shelves held jars and books. Dust covered most things, but the place did not feel abandoned. It felt paused. On the table lay a metal box. It was small and heavy. Leo looked at it with wide eyes. Maya opened it slowly. Inside were maps, a notebook, and a key. The notebook had Arun's name written on the first page. Maya sat down and opened it. The first pages spoke of Arun's youth. He wrote about coming to the island as part of a group. They were sent to study the land and test its value. At first Arun felt proud. He believed he was doing something important. As Maya turned the pages, the tone changed. Arun wrote about damage. Trees cut without care. Water disturbed. Animals fleeing. He wrote about arguments and fear. He wrote about choosing to stay behind when others left. Maya closed the notebook for a moment. Tears filled her eyes. She finally saw the part of her father she never knew. A man who chose to protect instead of profit. A man who carried this secret alone. Leo sat quietly beside her. He did not fully understand yet, but he felt the seriousness of the moment. The island was not just land. It was a promise. Outside the sun began to set. The island grew darker and quieter. Maya knew this was only the beginning. Whatever her father had hidden here was bigger than she imagined. And the island was waiting for them to uncover it. The next morning, Maya and Leo woke to the sound of birds singing and the gentle crash of waves against the shore. The sunlight filtered through the trees, painting patterns on the wooden floor of the small house. Maya looked at Leo, whose eyes were wide with excitement. He had slept little, thinking about the notebook and the island's secrets. After breakfast, Maya suggested they explore the island. She wanted to understand more about her father's life and why he had kept this place hidden for so long. They packed a small bag with water, food, and the maps from the metal box. Leo carried the notebook carefully, as if it were a treasure. The stone path that had brought them to the clearing seemed to continue deeper into the forest. The trees grew taller, and sunlight barely touched the ground. Small animals scurried at their feet. Maya felt that the forest was alive and watching them. Every step they took seemed important. After walking for a while, Leo pointed to a small wooden sign partially hidden by leaves. On it, letters were carved, but most had worn away. Maya bent down to read what remained. She could make out the word, garden. She smiled. It seemed Arun had marked places on the island for himself, leaving clues in a quiet way. They followed the direction indicated and soon reached a hidden garden. The area was filled with plants, some of which Maya recognized from her father's descriptions in the notebook. There were fruit trees, small flowers, and a few herbs. Everything seemed carefully planted, but nature had also been allowed to grow freely. Maya realized Arun had created a balance. Leo ran from one tree to another, picking fruits and examining flowers. He asked Maya why her father had worked so hard alone. Maya thought for a moment. She remembered Arun saying once that some responsibilities were not meant to be shared with everyone. Protecting the island was a duty he could not give to strangers. As they continued, they found a small pond. The water was clear, and fish swam lazily beneath the surface. Maya knelt beside it and touched the water. It felt cold and fresh. She remembered reading in the notebook that Arun had cleaned and protected this pond, ensuring the animals had a safe place to drink. Leo leaned close to the water. "Mom, look. There are fish here that aren't in the notebook," he said. Maya smiled, realizing that the island was still alive and growing. Arun had left something special for them, but the island had continued on its own. Following the maps, they reached a rocky area near a cliff. Here, the trees thinned, and the ocean stretched endlessly. Maya looked out and felt a mix of awe and fear. The island seemed larger than she had imagined. Somewhere below the rocks, she thought, Arun must have hidden something important. Leo ran ahead, discovering a large stone door almost hidden by vines. Maya came closer, holding her breath. The door was solid and heavy, and there was a small keyhole. She remembered the key from the metal box. With careful hands, she inserted it and turned. The lock clicked. The door opened slowly, revealing a chamber carved into the rock. Inside, the sunlight from the entrance barely reached the far corners. Shelves lined the walls, filled with jars, books, and small boxes. Maya felt as if she had stepped into her father's secret world. Leo explored with wide eyes. He found jars with seeds, samples of soil, and small animal tracks preserved in clay. Each item seemed to tell a story of Arun's work. Maya realized that her father had not only protected the island, but had also studied it carefully. He had wanted to understand it fully before anyone could harm it. On one shelf, Maya found a small journal with Arun's name. She opened it and read aloud. The pages described how Arun had noticed changes in the island over time. Some plants had stopped growing, and some animals had disappeared. He had worked to bring life back to the land. Every page reflected his love and dedication. Leo held up a small box. "Mom, look. There's a map of the entire island in here, but it shows places we haven't seen." Maya took it and studied the lines. Paths, secret gardens, small waterfalls, and hidden caves were marked. Some areas were labeled as protected or special. Arun had left them a complete guide to the island, but only they could use it responsibly. They spent the rest of the day exploring nearby areas shown on the maps. Every step revealed more of Arun's work. Maya felt proud and amazed. She thought about how her father had chosen to keep this secret, knowing it would be a heavy responsibility. He trusted her and Leo to care for the island as he had. As the sun began to set, Maya and Leo returned to the wooden house. They were tired but happy. Leo carried some fruits from the garden, and Maya held the notebooks and maps. She realized that this island was not just land. It was a story, a promise, and a responsibility. Arun had left them a gift, but it came with the duty to protect and respect the land. Maya sat outside the house as Leo played near the shore. She watched the water reflect the colors of the sunset. She thought about the future. The island had secrets, but it also had lessons. Arun had given them the chance to continue his work and to understand the importance of protecting something that could not be replaced. Leo ran back to her and handed her a small flower he had picked. "Mom, do you think Dad would be happy we are here?" Maya smiled and hugged him. "I think he would be very happy and proud." That night, as the wind moved through the trees, Maya felt the weight of the responsibility, but also the joy of discovery. The island was alive, full of beauty, and full of secrets. She knew the journey ahead would be challenging, but she also knew that with Leo by her side, they could honor Arun's wishes. Before falling asleep, Maya wrote a note in the new journal she had brought from the chamber. She wrote about the day, the discoveries, and the feelings she could not say aloud. It felt like speaking to Arun. She realized that this island was more than a place. It was a bridge between the past and their future, and she was ready to walk it carefully, step by step. The night grew quiet, but the sounds of the island continued. The water lapped gently against the shore, the wind whispered through the trees, and somewhere in the darkness, the creatures of the island moved safely. Maya and Leo slept knowing that the island's secret was safe for now, waiting for the next day to reveal more of Arun's hidden world. The next morning, Maya and Leo woke early. The sun had barely risen, and the island was quiet. The birds were just starting to sing, and the air smelled fresh with the scent of flowers and earth. Maya felt a new energy. She had slept well despite the weight of responsibility, and now she wanted to explore more of the island. Leo was already awake, holding the notebook and looking at the maps Arun had left. "Mom, look at this," he said, pointing to a path marked with a small symbol. It was near the rocky cliffs they had seen the day before. The symbol was a star surrounded by a circle. Leo guessed it meant something important. Maya nodded. She trusted her son's curiosity and thought they should follow it. They packed a small bag with food, water, and the notebook. They left the wooden house carefully, closing the door behind them. The path was narrow and steep in places. Moss covered the stones, making them slippery. Maya held Leo's hand, and together they walked slowly but steadily. As they moved deeper into the forest, they noticed the trees growing taller and closer. The sunlight barely reached the ground, and the air smelled earthy and damp. Small birds flew above them, and a few squirrels ran across branches. The forest seemed alive and welcoming, but it also had an air of mystery. After walking for nearly an hour, they reached a small clearing. At the center was a waterfall falling into a crystal-clear pool. The water sparkled in the sunlight that broke through the trees. Maya stopped, taking a deep breath. She had never seen such beauty. Leo ran to the edge of the pool and looked at the fish swimming below. "This is amazing," Leo said, his voice full of wonder. Maya smiled. She could feel her father's presence here, as if Arun had chosen this place for a reason. The notebook mentioned this waterfall, but seeing it in real life was even more impressive. Arun had worked hard to protect every part of this island. Near the waterfall, they found carved stones arranged in a circle. Each stone had symbols similar to those in the notebook. Maya bent down to examine them. Arun had written about this circle as a way to study the plants and animals. Each symbol represented a species or a natural feature. Maya realized her father had not only protected the island, but also studied it deeply. Leo noticed a small path behind the waterfall. "Mom, look. There is another path here," he said. Maya carefully followed him. The path was narrow and hidden, almost invisible unless someone was looking closely. They moved slowly, stepping on flat stones, until they reached a small cave behind the waterfall. The cave was cool and damp. Water dripped from the ceiling, and moss covered the walls. Maya shone a flashlight inside and saw shelves carved into the rock. On the shelves were jars, small boxes, and folded papers. Everything was neat and carefully placed. Arun had clearly spent a lot of time here. Leo picked up a small jar and opened it. Inside was a sample of soil mixed with seeds. "Mom, Dad wanted to grow something special here," he said. Maya nodded. Arun had used this cave to study the land and plants. He had hidden it carefully so that only someone who truly cared would find it. They explored further and found more jars containing insects, small plants, and animal tracks preserved in clay. Each item had a note explaining what it was and why it mattered. Maya felt amazed. Arun had created a full record of the island, preserving it for future generations. In the far corner of the cave, Maya noticed a small wooden chest. She opened it carefully. Inside were letters, more maps, and a small, folded cloth. The letters were written to her, though Arun had never given them to her in life. Maya opened the first letter. It began with simple words, "Maya, if you are reading this, it means you have found my island. I kept it secret because the world may not understand its value. But I trust you to care for it." Maya felt tears rise in her eyes. Arun's words were filled with love and wisdom. He wrote about the dangers of greed and the importance of patience. He wanted Maya and Leo to understand that the island was not just land. It was a living place that needed respect and protection. Leo picked up another letter. This one was written to him. Arun wrote about courage, curiosity, and responsibility. He encouraged Leo to explore, learn, and protect the island. Maya watched her son's face light up as he read the words. She realized Arun had prepared them well. They stayed in the cave for some time, reading letters and examining the maps. Maya noticed that the maps showed more hidden areas on the island, small groves, caves, and clearings. Arun had carefully marked each place that needed attention. Maya understood that their journey was just beginning. When they left the cave, the sun had moved higher in the sky. The waterfall sparkled brilliantly in the light, and the forest felt alive. Maya and Leo walked back toward the house slowly, taking in the beauty around them. The island seemed peaceful but full of secrets waiting to be discovered. On the way back, Leo asked questions about Arun's life. Maya tried to answer them. She remembered stories her father had told in quiet moments. He had always loved nature and believed in protecting what could not be replaced. Maya realized she had never fully understood his dedication until now. When they reached the wooden house, Maya prepared a small notebook to record their discoveries. She wanted to continue Arun's work carefully. Leo drew maps of the places they had visited and wrote notes about the plants and animals. Together, they began to build a new record of the island. That evening, Maya and Leo sat outside, watching the sun set over the ocean. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the water reflected the colors beautifully. Leo smiled. "Mom, this island is like a secret world." "Dad was amazing." Maya nodded. She felt proud of Arun and grateful that he had left them this gift. As darkness fell, the sounds of the island changed. Crickets began to sing, and the wind moved through the trees. Maya felt calm, knowing that they were safe and that the island's secrets were now shared between them. They were no longer just visitors. They were guardians. Before going to sleep, Maya and Leo planned their next day. They would explore other areas marked on Arun's maps and continue to learn about the island. Maya felt excitement and responsibility at the same time. The island had so much to teach, and she was ready to listen. That night, Maya held the notebook close and thought about Arun. She realized that her father's life was a lesson in patience, care, and love for nature. She promised herself that she and Leo would honor his work. The island was no longer a mystery. It was a place of learning and protection, and they would face it together. Outside, the island rested under the moonlight. The waterfall glimmered softly, the trees swayed gently, and the animals moved quietly through the forest. Maya and Leo slept with peace in their hearts, knowing that tomorrow would bring new discoveries, and that Arun's legacy would continue through them. The next morning, Maya and Leo woke to a fresh breeze that carried the scent of the ocean. The forest around the wooden house was alive with birdsong, and sunlight streamed through the trees. Maya felt a quiet determination. They had discovered much already, but Arun's maps showed many more places they had not yet explored. Today, they would continue their journey deeper into the island. Leo was already examining the maps with excitement. "Mom, look at this area," he said, pointing to a section marked with triangles and circles. "It seems like a special garden or a hidden place." Maya nodded. Arun had carefully marked every important spot. Following his maps was not just exploration. It was learning his way of thinking. They packed lightly, taking water, some food, and the notebook. Leo insisted on bringing his small camera to take pictures of plants and animals. Maya smiled, thinking how much he had grown since they arrived. The island was teaching them both patience, respect, and curiosity. The path led them through dense trees. Sunlight barely touched the forest floor, and the air smelled fresh and earthy. They noticed animal tracks, broken branches, and small flowers that seemed rare. Maya realized Arun had likely walked these paths for years, carefully observing every detail. After walking for nearly an hour, they reached a part of the forest that was different. The trees were taller, older, and the ground was covered with soft moss. A gentle stream flowed nearby, and the sound of water filled the quiet air. Maya felt a sense of peace. Arun had clearly chosen this area for its calm and beauty. Following the map, they found a small stone bridge crossing the stream. The stones were worn but strong. Leo ran across it eagerly, while Maya took careful steps. On the other side, they discovered a hidden grove filled with flowers in every color. Some were familiar, others unknown to them. Maya felt as if Arun had planted them himself, creating a secret paradise. In the center of the grove, they noticed a small stone pedestal. On it lay a folded piece of parchment. Maya carefully opened it. The writing was in Arun's handwriting. It described a rare plant that could only grow in this grove. Arun had documented how to protect it and the importance of keeping it safe from outsiders. Maya realized that Arun's dedication went beyond study. He had created a sanctuary, a place where nature could thrive without disturbance. Leo examined the plants closely. "Mom, some of these flowers smell different," he said. Maya nodded, realizing that the grove was not just for beauty. Arun had created it as a living laboratory, a place where rare plants could grow naturally. She felt proud and inspired. Arun's care and wisdom were clear in every detail. As they explored further, Maya noticed movement near the edge of the grove. A small family of deer appeared, cautiously stepping into the clearing. Leo watched silently, not wanting to disturb them. Maya smiled, knowing that Arun had created a safe space for these animals as well. The island was alive, and every creature had a place. Following the stream, they reached a hill overlooking the ocean. From here, the entire island stretched out before them. Maya could see the forest, the cliffs, and the hidden waterfall from the cave. The house where they stayed looked small from this height, almost like a dot in the green landscape. Leo ran to the edge, feeling the wind on his face. "Mom, it's beautiful," he said. Maya agreed. From this height, she could see why Arun had devoted so much of his life to this island. It was not just land, it was a living story, a place that had grown under his care. She felt a strong responsibility to honor that story. As they began walking down the hill, Maya noticed an unusual pattern in the ground. Stones were arranged in a straight line, leading toward a dense part of the forest. She remembered the notebook mentioning hidden pathways. Maya and Leo followed the stones carefully, feeling the thrill of discovery. The stones led them to another hidden area. This one was smaller, almost like a secret room in the forest. Inside, they found a wooden chest partially covered with leaves. Leo helped Maya open it. Inside were jars, small vials, and papers describing plants and animals not mentioned in the previous areas. Arun had truly documented every detail of the island. Maya read the notes carefully. Arun had described rare plants with medicinal value, insects that helped pollinate flowers, and small animals that maintained the forest's balance. Each note reflected his knowledge and care. Maya realized that the island was not just a secret. It was a lesson, a guide for anyone who wanted to understand nature. Leo held a small vial with seeds. "Mom, maybe we can try planting some in the garden at the house," he said. Maya nodded. They could continue Arun's work, but carefully, respecting the balance he had created. Every step they took had to honor the island's life. As the sun began to lower in the sky, Maya and Leo walked back toward the house. They felt tired but fulfilled. The discoveries of the day had shown them the depth of Arun's dedication and the responsibility they now carried. The island was more than land. It was a living promise. That evening, Maya and Leo sat outside the wooden house. The ocean reflected the colors of the sunset, and the island's sounds filled the air. Leo looked thoughtful. "Mom, Dad did all this alone. Why do you think he didn't tell anyone?" Maya considered. Arun had wanted to protect the island from people who might not understand its value. He had trusted only those who would care, and now that trust was in their hands. Maya smiled softly. "I think he wanted to make sure it would survive. He believed in the island more than anything else. And now it is our turn to keep it safe." Leo nodded, understanding more than his years should allow. Before going to sleep, Maya wrote in a notebook. She recorded the new areas they had discovered, the plants, the animals, and the paths. She wanted to create a record, just like Arun. Leo drew maps and added small notes about the animals they had seen. Together, they began building a story of the island that could last for generations. As night fell, the forest seemed to breathe around them. The wind rustled the leaves, and distant animals moved through the shadows. Maya and Leo felt calm and connected. The island had revealed its secrets slowly, and they were ready to learn more each day. Maya thought about the journey ahead. Arun's work was not yet complete, but with patience, care, and love, they could continue it. The island had more hidden places, and she was certain that each held lessons, challenges, and beauty. Leo lay down on the grass, looking at the stars beginning to appear in the sky. "Mom, I think Dad would be proud of us," he said. Maya smiled, holding his hand. "Yes, Leo. I am sure he would. And we will keep the island safe for him, and for the future." Outside, the island rested under the night sky. The waterfall glimmered softly in the moonlight, the forest whispered with life, and the ocean lapped gently at the shore. Maya and Leo slept peacefully, ready to face the discoveries and responsibilities that awaited them on Arun's island. The next morning, Maya and Leo woke to the sound of waves softly hitting the shore. The sun was just rising, painting the sky with shades of pink and gold. Today felt important. They had explored much of the island, but the maps showed one last area they had not yet visited. Maya felt a mix of excitement and responsibility. Arun's final secret might be waiting for them. Leo was already ready with the notebook and camera. "Mom, this is the last path on the map," he said, pointing to a trail that started near the edge of the forest. "I wonder what Dad wanted us to see here." Maya nodded. She felt a quiet determination. Arun had left them these places for a reason, and they would discover the last truth together. They packed a small bag with food, water, and the metal key from the box. Maya also brought the notebooks they had found in the cave and the grove. Leo carried his camera and a small pouch for collecting notes. They left the wooden house carefully, closing the door behind them. The forest seemed alive, welcoming them for the final discovery. The path was narrow and lined with tall trees. Sunlight barely reached the ground, and the air smelled fresh and earthy. They noticed animal tracks and broken branches, signs that the forest was still thriving. Maya realized that Arun's work had created a balance. Every living thing had a place. After walking for nearly an hour, they reached a small hill. At the top, they saw an opening in the rocks, partially hidden by vines. It was a small cave, and Maya immediately felt that this was a place Arun had wanted them to find. Leo ran ahead, eager to see inside, while Maya followed more slowly, holding the key tightly in her hand. The cave was cool and quiet. Stalactites hung from the ceiling, and the walls were covered with moss. A faint light came from the entrance, casting shadows across the ground. In the center of the cave, they noticed a small wooden chest. It was old but strong, with a lock that matched the key Maya held. Maya inserted the key and turned it carefully. The lock clicked, and the chest opened. Inside, they found papers, photographs, and a small wooden box. The papers were more of Arun's writings. He had documented the history of the island, its plants, animals, and secret places. The photographs showed Arun at different locations on the island, planting trees, caring for animals, and restoring damaged areas. Leo carefully picked up the wooden box. It was small, and its surface was smooth and polished. Inside, they found a small pendant with a simple carving of a tree. Maya held it and felt the weight of the moment. Arun had left this for them as a symbol. It represented care, protection, and life. Maya read the final note in the chest. Arun wrote about his greatest wish. He wanted the island to remain safe, alive, and free from harm. He explained that the island was a gift, but also a responsibility. Anyone who did not understand the importance of balance could destroy it. Arun trusted Maya and Leo to honor that promise. Leo looked at Maya with wide eyes. "Mom, Dad really trusted us," he said softly. Maya nodded. She felt the same weight Arun had carried for many years. Protecting the island was not easy, but they had learned from his example. The notebooks, maps, and notes had prepared them well. They stayed in the cave for some time, reading the notes and examining the photographs. Maya realized that Arun had planned everything carefully. Every plant, animal, and path had a purpose. He had created a world where life could grow freely but with guidance. Maya felt proud and inspired. Arun had left them a treasure, not of money, but of knowledge, care, and responsibility. As they left the cave, Maya noticed how the sunlight reflected off the rocks and trees. The island seemed alive in a way she had never felt before. Every sound, color, and movement told a story of Arun's dedication. Leo ran ahead, exploring the path, and Maya followed slowly, absorbing the beauty and importance of each step. The final path led them to a cliff overlooking the ocean. The view was breathtaking. Waves crashed against the rocks below, and the horizon seemed endless. Maya felt a sense of completion. The island had revealed its secrets, and now it was their turn to protect and care for it. Leo stood beside her, holding the pendant. "Mom, I think this is the end of the map," he said. Maya smiled. "Yes, Leo. But it is just the beginning of our work." The island needed care, protection, and respect. Arun had trusted them, and they would honor that trust. As the sun began to set, they walked back toward the wooden house. The forest was quiet but alive. Birds sang their final songs, and the wind moved gently through the trees. Maya and Leo felt a deep connection to the island. It was no longer a secret. It was a part of their lives, their story, and their responsibility. That evening, Maya and Leo sat outside the house, looking at the ocean. Leo placed the pendant on a small chain around his neck. "Mom, Dad would be proud of us," he said. Maya nodded, holding his hand. She felt the truth of his words. Arun had given them this island, and they had accepted the responsibility. Maya wrote in the notebook, recording the final discoveries. She described the cave, the chest, the pendant, and the view from the cliff. Leo drew maps of the last paths and notes about the plants and animals they had seen. Together, they created a record of Arun's life on the island and the lessons he had left behind. The night fell, and the island rested under the stars. The waterfall glimmered softly in the moonlight, and the forest whispered with life. Maya and Leo felt peace and pride. They had discovered Arun's secret, learned the lessons of the island, and accepted the responsibility to protect it. In the days that followed, Maya and Leo continued to explore and care for the island. They planted new trees, cared for animals, and documented every discovery. They shared some knowledge with trusted researchers who respected Arun's wishes, ensuring that the island remained protected. The island became a place of learning and growth. Maya and Leo honored Arun's legacy, teaching visitors about the importance of balance, care, and respect for nature. Arun's secret, once hidden, was now alive in the right way. It was no longer a secret meant to be buried, but a living story of responsibility and love. Years passed, and the island thrived. Maya and Leo grew older, but the lessons of Arun remained with them. The trees grew taller, the flowers bloomed in every season, and the animals moved freely. The island became a symbol of care, patience, and protection. Maya often stood on the cliff where they had seen the ocean that first day. She thought about her father and the trust he had given them. She felt grateful for his wisdom and love. Leo, now older, walked beside her, carrying the pendant. Together, they knew that Arun's secret was safe, not hidden, but honored. The island, once quiet and secret, was now alive with life and learning. It was a testament to one man's dedication and the love he had for his family and nature. Maya and Leo understood that some treasures were not meant to be spent or sold. They were meant to be protected, nurtured, and shared carefully. In the end, the island stood as proof that a promise kept with care could last forever. Arun's legacy lived on in Maya and Leo. The secret he had taken to his grave was no longer hidden, but it remained safe, alive, and cherished. The mother and her son had inherited not only land but a lesson in love, responsibility, and the importance of protecting the world for those who would come after. And as the sun rose over the island each morning, Maya and Leo continued their work, knowing that the future of Arun's island was in their hands. They walked with purpose, care, and pride, honoring the man who had trusted them and the life he had built in secret. The island would thrive, and its story would continue for generations. The island was no longer just land. It was a home, a lesson, and a living memory of Arun. Maya and Leo had discovered the secret, and in discovering it, they had discovered themselves and the true meaning of trust, love, and responsibility.